Hello and welcome to the Downsized. My name is Laraine Durham, and this is our channel where we talk about GLP-1 weight loss. GLP-1 medications are Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound, semaglutide, and tirzepatide. Personally, I've lost over 50 pounds using tirzepatide, and in this series called The Downsized Dish, we talk to real people out there who have lost weight using GLP-1 medications. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that I am not a doctor. My guest is not a doctor. This is not medical advice. So if you're interested in starting a GLP-1 medication, please start with your doctor. We hope you will like and subscribe to The Downsized. We put out videos every single day. So we hope you will come along with us on your journey and follow our journey. Today, we're talking to Nicole. Welcome, Nicole, to The Downsized.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Hey, thank you, Nicole. Well, Nicole, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm 38 years old, and I earlier this year found myself in a position of just not being in the greatest health, right? So I was at
Mhm.
a very toxic job in the wine industry, so like a corporate wine job.
Mhm.
And I had gained, gosh, like 40 pounds in, a couple of years. And I just was extremely inflamed. I have a long history of autoimmune disease, like a long, long
Oh,
history. And
okay.
so just between like the joint pain and the inflammation of the autoimmune and the gaining and the stress of the toxic job, I just kind of needed to take my life back, truly. And
Okay.
so I just made an executive decision to leave that world and go back and finish the nursing degree I started pursuing in my 20s, actually,
Oh, okay.
and start a GLP-1. And that in itself was like kind of a process because I tried to go through insurance and my doctor, and it was an absolute no.
Right.
So that in itself was its own journey of like finding where I could go and be approved and everything. But that's a little backstory on me of my universe and how I then, came to be what I am now, which is a nursing student and um, on a very serious GLP-1 journey that I've become completely obsessed with. I even started at TikTok as like a total introvert, never thought it would be something I would do. And then, yeah, so I'm here now.
That's awesome. How much have you lost, Nicole?
I have lost just about 50 pounds. It fluctuates just a little, but I have lost just a hair under 50 at this point.
That's awesome. And which GLP-1 medication did you use?
I'm on compound tirzepatide,
Gotcha.
which I have just loved. I didn't go into it blindly. I did a good amount of research on, semaglutide versus tirzepatide, and um, it just felt like it was the right choice for me. Reading and finding out that a lot of people have less side effects on it and everything. I had already felt horribly for so long with all the autoimmune issues. The last thing I
Right.
wanted was a bunch of side effects, so I decided on compound tirzepatide.
Gotcha. And how long have you been on it now?
I started it July 25th, so I have been on, gosh, 5 months at this point, and
Okay, so you've had really great results.
I've had really great results. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like, I know all of us kind of lose at different speeds, and there's, like, super
Right.
responders and, slow responders, and I think when I think about it, I classify myself a little bit more as a super responder. I do feel like it happened pretty quickly, but
Yeah.
then again, like, I did take a lot of, precautions, and I was very active, and I tracked protein religiously, so I don't know if that contributed to it, but yeah, it moved pretty quickly, and I've been so happy with the progress.
That's awesome. What dose are you on now?
I am currently on 7.5, and I am in my 4th week of maintenance dosing. So I have spread it out further at this point, and it's actually
Oh,
funny. So right before I hopped on to talk to you, I
mhm.
actually did my injection for the week. And
Okay.
yeah, so I'm starting to dose back a little bit as well because I'm actually still losing and I don't want to. So it's
Gotcha.
tricky, but you know how it is with maintenance, it's so trial and error for everybody.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I've been on maintenance for about a year and a half, and
Okay.
it's you just have to find out what works for you, right? You said you
Exactly.
stretched it out a little bit. Are you more than 7 days between shots?
Yeah, yeah, but I think not enough yet. So I'm
Okay.
doing 9 days,
Okay.
but I am still losing, and the thing was I was trying to stay on that 7.5 because I've just
Mhm.
loved the dose so much. To me,
Mhm.
the dose that I've found, the most suppression on, and I also feel as though, like, I'm still having no side effects with that amount of suppression, and so I've
Okay.
left 7.5, but given that at 9 days I am still losing,
Mm.
I actually dialed it back to 7.2 today, and I'm just planning to dial it back a little bit as I go, which I'm kinda
7.
sad about, but it's fine.
How did you come to 7.2? I'm curious.
Um, my syringe goes by 2468, and I figured it was
Gotcha.
honestly, that's how it came down to, yeah, 7.2.
Gotcha.
And so I went from 46 units to 42 units this week, and we'll see how it goes.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, just so everybody know out there that your compounding pharmacy might mix it up differently than Nicole's, so the units might not be the same for you if you're on a comparable dose.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been on compounded tirzepatide now for a little bit over 2 years, and yeah, you have to get those. You have to always read your instructions, right? Make sure you read those dosing instructions.
And it's so
But
true
yeah,
because you can
did
get
you
a refill.
go?
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you can get a refill from your pharmacy of your same exact prescription, but your units are going to be different vial to vial.
Right, right, important to remember. What was were you on a higher dose than 7.5 or was that your top dose?
7.5 was my top dose.
Your
So
top
I
dose.
started out at like in the 2.5 range,
Yeah,
like kind of like everybody does.
yeah,
And I did really well on that. I actually lost really well, had no side effects right from the beginning, other than just a little bit of fatigue after injection day, which I figure is very normal.
yeah.
Um, the only reason I even dosed up from there was in about 4 weeks, I started having that food noise return.
Uh,
And it's not that I can't push through it, but especially at that point, I hadn't built healthy enough habits yet to successfully push through that. So
mhm,
that's when I requested an increase.
mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, so you did the 5.0, I guess, for a little bit, and then, maybe stayed
Yeah,
on that 2
I
or 3
stayed
months?
on the 5 milligrams for, 7 weeks, I think, right
Yeah,
about 7 weeks, and then it was the same thing, everything was going really well, and that's actually where I
mhm,
had the most, like, rapid success of my journey was on the 5,
yeah.
um, but the reason I ended up dosing up from there was, again, the noise returned, and I just, and now at 7.5 and going into maintenance, I have built such healthy habits that I never had before, that
Mm.
even now I'm more confident going into maintenance because I'm not concerned when I have that noise, and I'm not concerned about temptation because I have that healthier relationship now.
Well, let's talk about some of those healthier habits. What are some things you've developed that you didn't have before?
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you asked because I love to talk about water.
Okay.
Well, it's funny because, like, I was never a water girl, ever. Like,
Yeah.
I lived on Coca-Cola, not even diet, full on Coca-Cola.
Full strength, oh my
Full
goodness.
strength, and I get so embarrassed to tell people that because then I'm like, "Well, gee, I wonder why I was in the situation I was in." Like, I was clearly making very bad decisions. Um, but I transparently would go sometimes 3 times a day and get a large Coke from McDonald's. Like, it was bad.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
so never drank water. My biggest habit and the biggest thing I talk about a lot of times is water and hydration, and I never thought I would be that person talking about water. Yes, mine's right here next to me too. Um, but what I did was I, right from the beginning, thought about it, and I'm like, obviously I'm going to need to stay hydrated. And the first way that I started ingesting water where I never did was I swapped my sodas during meals for water because
Perfect.
you'd be
Mhm.
surprised how much water you actually drink when you're eating a meal. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, water only. And then I got to where as I ingested more water, I wanted more water.
Ah,
And so now it's gotten to a point where the first couple of weeks, I was still having occasional diet soda, on this journey, but now since those couple of weeks, I've never had soda again, and water is
wow.
all I drink aside from a morning iced coffee. I could not say goodbye to iced coffee.
Oh,
So
yeah, no, I'm
yeah,
gonna always drink my coffee for sure.
totally. So I drink about 120 ounces of water every single day. I have
Okay.
electrolytes most days, but not every day. There's just certain days I wake up and I don't feel I need it, and I just make
Yeah,
that call. But water has been a huge, huge turning point in my health journey. Really, it has. And then another big one is I walk a lot. So
okay.
I typically do. I know it was very trendy for a while to say, "Oh, get your 10,000 steps in," but that's I hopped on that trend, and that's what I started with.
Yeah,
And it kind of just stuck. And transparently, I did start this before I started my GLP-1. I was already walking.
that's
It
great.
wasn't moving the needle for me though. It wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
And so now what I do is I do about 12,000 steps a day because that equals about 5 miles. And that's a combination
Nice.
of, my walking pad, getting out on the jogging trails, and just chores or shopping. Like I count all of it. So the water, the walking, and protein.
And
Protein,
protein.
yeah, I track it religiously. I truly do. I don't track anything else I eat, because I feel like a lot of us get in the vicious cycle because of restriction. And that's the
Yeah.
last thing I wanted to do in building healthy habits is have restrictions. So I have whatever
Yeah.
I want, but protein I track religiously because I do 100 grams every single day.
I was gonna ask how many grams is your
Yep.
target? 100
Yep,
grams.
100 grams every day without fail, and there are times I do not wanna do it. I mean, you know how it is. There's certain days where you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't want to. I don't
Right.
wanna eat all that," but it's just at the end of the day, it's vital, and, that's where the negative stigma sometimes comes from with GLPs is there's this association with it that we don't consume, and we have to make sure
Yeah.
we do.
Well, and when you said you had dropped your dose and you were still losing, one of the things I thought of was, I wonder if you're eating
Mhm.
enough. And if you're eating 100 grams of protein, you
Yeah,
probably are, right? Do you
yeah.
get it throughout the day, or how do you, um, what's a typical meal look like for you?
Yeah, so a lot of times in my iced coffee, I'll put, like, a protein shake. So right
Yeah.
then and there, I'm getting, calories and I'm getting protein. A lot of times
Yeah.
that's like a thirty grams of protein shake.
Yeah.
And then I will have like I just recently got this yogurt that I love that is 25 grams of protein. So I'll have that, late
Uh-huh.
morning.
Yeah.
Lunchtime, I oftentimes I am obsessed with rotisserie chicken. It's always in my fridge. So I go like every other day and get a rotisserie chicken
Uh-huh.
because chicken is lean, but it's also so high in protein. And I will just pick at that a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I also like a very common lunch that I do is I keep like cans of non-fat refried beans and I'll heat those up with low-fat cheese and sauce and then eat them with like chili lime quest chips. So that is another
Mm.
30 grams of protein right there. So I just try to be super intentional, but I also try to make the protein extremely convenient because when we're having to hit that big of a protein goal, if it's not convenient, we're not going to hit it most of the time.
Yeah. It sounds like you do a lot of no cook meals.
I do. Now my dinners, I do cook a
Oh, you
lot.
do? Okay.
I do. So I do cook a lot of dinners. I do like a lot. I'm a big red meat eater. I love steak. And that is one thing in the very beginning of this journey, it grossed me out, but I'm back to completely loving it. So like a couple of days a week
Interesting.
for my family, I'll do tri-tip or,
Mhm.
ribeyes, or I cook pasta dishes pretty often with my protein pasta.
Mhm.
So I do cook a dinner every single night. But as far as like breakfast and lunch, it's all about convenience for me.
Gotcha. Now, are you cooking for a family? Do you have other people in your house, or
Yeah, yeah. So I have, my daughter who well, she just moved out actually. So I have an adult daughter and her fiancé.
okay.
She moved out just a few weeks ago. That's been a huge thing for me.
I
Very
bet.
unconvinced over here, but they live the street behind me. So they're
Oh,
still
they're
over
not
for
too
dinner
far.
most of the time,
Yeah.
which is wonderful, and I'm still getting to see them, and so I'm cooking for myself and them most of the time, and a lot of time my parents come over too for dinner.
Nice.
We all
That's
live,
nice.
like, right in this little circle, so
Well, that's great. And do they all know about your GLP-1 journey?
yeah, yeah. So in the very beginning, I was on the fence if I wanted to share, about it because you don't know how people are going to react. And I didn't know
Right.
initially if I was going to be successful. So I'm like, maybe I just shouldn't tell anyone. Well, that
Right.
didn't last long because I do not keep secrets well. Don't tell me anything because
Sounds
I
like
will
me.
tell the people closest to me. So literally within like a week, I told everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
So
I don't think I asked you this before. How tall are you?
I am 5'3".
5'3". Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what was your highest weight, I guess, or starting
Yeah,
weight, and
so
what do you
I'm
weigh now?
5'3", and my starting weight was 173, and
Mhm.
my weight now is about 124.
Okay.
Yeah,
And is
like,
that your, do you plan to stay there? Do you have,
I'm
like, a range, or what do you think?
my original goal that I set for myself was 135. I felt like that was
Okay.
a very realistic goal, and I transparently really hadn't been thinner than that since, like, high school. So,
Yeah.
I didn't plan to get thinner than 135, it just kinda happened, and I've just been watching, like, my body closely because I always wanna make sure I still have muscle tone, everything,
Yeah.
and then that last 10 pounds truly just kind of happened,
Yeah.
and I have found I'm really happy with where my body is. Now, what I don't love is I am starting to notice my face is getting thin. And I have always
Mhm.
had kind of a chiseled face. I joke around, but like when I was a teenager, my older sister's friends called me Maleficent because I always had like
The cheekbones,
I
yes.
always had very defined features.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten, thinner and older, I'm 38 now. I'm noticing some like thinness in here. So I
Yeah.
definitely do not want to go any further
Any
at all.
further.
And that's why I'm trying to
Gotcha.
be so adamant to lower that dose now because I'm afraid if I lose much more, I'm going to look different and I don't want to.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great mindset. great place to be. I kind of had that same sort of experience. Like I hit my goal weight, and then I kept losing, and I wasn't really meaning to. And so, really, it just took eating more. I mean, and more of everything, not so much just protein. And like you, I didn't track really through my journey because I had been going to Weight Watchers for years. I had tracked everything for all my life, and I was just kind of done with it. It just kind of, I don't know, triggered me, or I was
Mhm.
traumatized by it, or I don't know. But so yeah, I did where I just tracked the protein too. But um, yeah, so I would encourage you to round out with carbs are okay. You know what I mean? Like vegetables, fruits,
You know,
all
and
that
it's
kind of
so
stuff.
funny you say that because just recently, just this week, because I'm really trying not to lose anymore. So I really had this mindset in developing that healthier habit with food that my diet's been very healthy. Like I'm eating that lean
Yeah.
protein, I'm having brown rice, but it kind of just the last week I was like, all right, maybe I should start having, Chinese food once a week, or maybe I should have some pizza. And I did all week, like I did mix those things in. And so I'm hoping that
Yeah.
does make a difference. And at first I felt kind of guilty doing that. But then I realized that's
Interesting.
the toxicity coming back of feeling like I can't like live
Right.
life like a normal person because now I
Right.
need to remember we have the tools now to say, okay, I've had enough. I've had enough
Right.
now. You
Right.
know? And so this
Exactly.
week, it's funny you say that. This week is the first time I've been incorporating more of kind of bread and butter, like, anything that
Yeah.
I
I mean, because now this is maintenance, right? So how are you going to live the rest of your life? Like, I'm not gonna I like all foods, and I guess that was always really
yeah,
my problem is I liked everything, right? I never wanted to diet where I had to cut out any particular thing. So now, like you said, Christopher and I actually for lunch today, we went out to a pizza place. And before we got these individual pizzas, and I used to eat the whole thing myself, and we hadn't been to this place in a really long time, maybe years. And I got the same pizza, and I could only eat half of it, and I took the rest home. And I was like, "Oh,
that's how
we
it
can still
works.
work these things in occasionally, but not, we're not eating as much as we used to, so it's more easily to work into how we wanna live our life now."
It's so true, and it's so nice, and I know that you mentioned, like, you did Weight Watchers and all of that.
Yeah,
Same. Like, I did
yeah,
Weight Watchers off and on for years. I did
yeah,
keto, I did carnivore, and it was such a strange thing moving over to a GLP-1 and suddenly feeling, um, so much more freedom
yeah.
and so much less pressure. And it truly, I know a lot of people think it's like a cheat code, truly. And I think some
Yeah,
people use it that way, right? Like, let's be honest, some people do. Um, but at the end of the day, it was completely different. It was a tool, and it helped
right.
me to have the mindset to actually be able to make better decisions for myself. And it's just been so wonderful because you almost get kind of traumatized from being on Weight Watchers for so many years or
Oh,
counting
yeah.
1,000 calories. I mean, I saw a doctor a long time ago where I said, I'm eating 1,000 calories. I am still not losing. What else can I do? And he was like, well, try eating 800. And I'm like, come on.
Oh,
Like, I know that
oh,
I'm short, but it's like I couldn't there was so much toxicity involved before, and this has
yeah,
just transformed my not only, like, my life and my weight and my health, but my mental health because I just punished myself so badly before for everything.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, and I don't know when the weight started coming on for you, what did you say, like, in your 20s or 30s?
Probably
Or
early
was it
30s,
early 30s?
probably
Yeah.
early 30s because I look back on high school and I was always super fit,
Mhm.
and in my 20s, I still could kinda eat and, have whatever I wanted, and there was never a problem, and then suddenly in my 30s, it was like, "Wait a minute, who is that in the mirror, and when did this happen?"
Yeah,
Um, it just and again, like, I brought so much of that on myself. I would say even when I was doing things right on Weight Watchers or keto or whatever, I think a lot of the autoimmune that I have and that underlying inflammation did
yeah.
play a role in making it difficult to lose weight though. Like it definitely played a
Interesting.
role. So my habits were
Yeah.
poor, of course. Um, but there was also an underlying thing there too.
Well, that's interesting because growing up, you never had to struggle, so you never had to worry about healthy habits, really, right? And then those autoimmune diseases, these GLP-1s also help to reduce inflammation in our body. Did you notice any of that going away when you took the GLP-1s?
Yes, almost immediately, and that was
Yeah.
actually the reason I searched for a GLP-1. So,
Oh,
just, like, a tiny bit of backstory. So, like, I have Hashimoto's, and
mhm.
I was diagnosed at 15. Not autoimmune, but I also have POTS. I, at 30 years old, suffered bilateral pulmonary embolisms in my lungs. So, blood
Oh,
clots,
no.
yeah, both sides of my lungs, and the only thing they could ever contribute it to is the underlying autoimmune.
Huh.
So I was living with all of this, like, pain and inflammation and everything
Mm.
for the longest time. And so I went online and started looking at, like, what are out of the box solves for autoimmune. And that's when I started seeing GLP-1s were helping with
Oh,
this.
wow.
So
Wow.
that's when I went to my doctor and said, "Hey, can I take a GLP-1 to try to reduce some of this?" My lab work always showed high levels of inflammation. Uh,
Mhm.
but it was a hard no because in some ways, and don't get me wrong, like, doctors and medicine are amazing, right? But some doctors still really only see GLP-1s as a medication for obesity. And for me, it
Right.
was like, "Oh, you're not obese. No, you're not taking a GLP-1." And so that was a hard no. But then when I went online and found a telehealth that would take me, and I had my meds pretty quickly, I will kid you not, within that first week of being on compound tirzepatide, my brain fog was gone. My inflammation was like 80% gone. I felt
Yeah.
like a different person, and the crazy thing is, like, having all of that since I was 15, I thought I was normal, kind of, and it wasn't
Yeah.
until I was actually feeling normal that I realized how abnormal my life had been, if that makes
Wow.
sense.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about studies here on our channel where from the very first shot, patients report that inflammation going down, and just like you mentioned, the brain fog and all the things, and it's not a function of weight loss. It's
No,
a function of the GLP-1 taking out that inflammation, and you don't realize how bad you were feeling until you're not feeling bad anymore.
it's so
So
true,
that's
and it's so amazing, and that was actually what made me decide, "Hey, maybe I should actually talk about my journey and share it," and
yeah.
that's what made me start a TikTok because I was wondering if there were other women out there like me suffering that
Oh,
autoimmune.
yeah.
Did they know that this could change their life? And it just that's kind of how it started, and it took off kind of quickly because I actually very quickly started meeting people on TikTok that had similar experiences, had, PCOS that was basically in
Yep.
remission, had
Yep.
Hashimoto's, and, there is just this community of people that are all a testament to what it's doing for a lot more than just weight loss. And then there's this group of people that are on TikTok looking for help and advice and what to do because of their
Yeah.
autoimmune. And
Yeah.
so it's just been this intersecting point where all these people are coming together with that similar underlying condition.
Mhm.
And it's been such a wonderful platform to be able to meet people and talk to people about how much it's completely transformed my life and my health.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think as we see GLP-1s become approved for other things like sleep apnea and cardiac disease and the inflammation, the PCOS, the Hashimoto's, like all these things, that's when people are going to shift from viewing it as you're cheating to a medical treatment for these medical conditions, right?
Yeah, it's so true, and then that's, one more point actually, and I thought this was interesting. So I know I mentioned that my inflammation markers on my labs were always really high.
Yeah.
And given my autoimmune issues, I do labs every 6 weeks. Well, this same doctor that had denied me, and he's a great guy, like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, he's been my doctor for a while. It's just sometimes, like, they think inside the box. They're human.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but it was really funny because he actually called me, and normally I get my results through an app, but he actually called me and said, "Your inflammation markers are completely normal for the first time." That's
What
what
to
it
do? Yeah. Was
actually,
he like,
I
"What's going on?"
recommend that GLP-1 that you told me I couldn't go on. And we had a nice conversation and it was a nice moment,
Yeah.
but, it goes to show that, like, doctors are learning about it still, and,
Definitely.
he
Definitely.
was pleasantly surprised too, so that
Yeah.
was a fun little moment to see my inflammation markers because I can sit and talk till I'm blue in the face and be like, "Oh, I feel different." But when my
Yeah.
labs are actually coming back as completely normal for the first time since I was an adolescent,
Yeah.
that is huge. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, those numbers don't lie, right? That's what doctors like. Doctors like science
They like
and
science.
facts and numbers.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I was so glad that those numbers, that he saw that because, the next time someone goes in and says, "Hey, I'm having all these issues. Do you think a GLP-1 may help?" Now he has the background to say, "Well, I've actually seen it help."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think that's great. As a lot of times as patients, we have to not educate doctors, but, definitely make them aware of how we're taking control of our health and, kind of bring them along with us.
absolutely, you have to
Yeah.
advocate for yourself, it is important. Like I said, they're human too, and it is
Right.
important, and it's a learning process, and this new world of like GLP-1s helping all of these things besides weight loss, it is kind of unheard of to people who are just like medically, involved medically from the healthcare side. So
Yeah.
it's understandable. And I'm glad that, I'm sure there's a lot more people out there like me whose inflammation markers and everything are drastically changing because of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's so great that you started a TikTok channel to tell people your story, right? That's kind of like similar to us why we started our YouTube channel to tell people our story and just to let them know that these medications are out there. I mean, I've literally been waiting my whole life for them.
They're
So,
life-changing. They're completely life-changing. My
yeah.
sister, far more than I have, my sister has struggled with weight her entire
Mm.
life.
Ah.
And she just recently through my journey also went on one. She also has the same autoimmune issues. And
Mhm.
there was so much fear involved for her in starting it and everything. And then she sat in my kitchen here and did her first injection, and then we
Ah.
cried. She cried, I cried,
Oh,
and she already feels like a completely different person. So now that's two
wow.
of us. It's like, no, like truly, this has changed both of our lives.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Well, and that's when I talk to people, I always ask them, "Have you told people about your journey?" Because really, you can change someone's life, just by sharing your story. And I mean, I don't think that's being dramatic. I think that's just, getting the word out to people that these things are available and what they, can do for you. So,
It's
tell
so
us about your TikTok channel. Is it?
so it's Nick loses LBs, basically. And I've thought about changing it because I'm like, maybe I just change it to my name because my name is Nicole Lee. Like maybe I just change it. But at this point, it's the same on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know, I'll just leave it. But yeah, it's Nick loses LBs, and I cover everything from not only like my journey, but I just started like a signature series called Three Things Over Coffee, where we discuss like three different talking points about
Oh.
GLP-1s over my morning coffee. Protein recipes and some of the dinners that I do, and so I just try to like give it a look into what my day-to-day life looks like now that it's so greatly impacted and changed by GLP-1s. Um,
Mhm.
and there may come a time I expand that and talk about like more just overall wellness, but right now GLP-1 is kind of the center of my universe, and I'm
Yeah.
very okay with that. So I'm just kind of trying to be authentic and share every piece of it, really.
Was that a reason why you went back to your, quest to get a nursing degree was because of
Oh,
this journey?
no, it's not. It truly was. Nursing has been where my heart is. I medical, everything has always been where my heart is. I was in the middle of going, I had finished all my prerequisites, was applying to nursing school. And total side note and unrelated, but I'm a major horse girl
Hmm.
and thoroughbreds, Kentucky Derby, all that. And I
Uh-huh.
randomly got contacted by Churchill Downs to work as a writer in horse racing
Oh,
right as I was
wow.
in nursing school. It was like weird, right? Kind of kismet, but just also so I took that leap. I was young. I took that leap and went to the marketing world. And I worked in marketing and did writing for Churchill Downs. And then I switched to the wine industry after 5 years.
Mhm.
And so I was like knee deep in marketing, but nursing was always in my heart. Helping
Mm.
people was always in my heart. And so I just felt like the job was getting more toxic all the time. This corporate wine job, I was managing some of the digital marketing for 5 different global wine brands,
Mhm.
and it just got to a point where I was like, it's clearly taking a toll on my life and my health. And
Mm.
I'm exhausted all the time. I'm irritated all the time because I'm miserable. It's time to make a change. And I found like an accelerated nursing program that I could get into and have it completed in about a year. And so I literally just took the leap of faith and did it. And then also, my young daughter applied for the same accelerated nursing program and got in with me. So
Oh,
we're
nice.
doing it together, and I'm so excited because yes, I'm late in life to become a nurse, but she's actually on the really early side. So
Mhm.
super excited that we get to do it together. And yeah, it's always been in my heart. It's definitely always been there.
That's great, that's great. You mentioned, being in the wine industry. Did you notice a change in your did you ever were you a drinker? Do you drink now? How did that affect anything for you?
So I was never really a drinker. I guess socially I may have like a beer or a glass of wine, and that's kind of
Mhm,
how I always was. I will say on vacations, like I do cruise a couple of times a year typically, and on
mhm.
vacations I will drink a little bit, but never a lot.
Yeah,
So I haven't noticed a huge change. I don't have a desire to, but I never had a desire to.
never been.
That being
Gotcha.
said, 2 months into my GLP-1 journey, I did have an 8-day cruise or not no, 8-day vacation, 5-day cruise. Um, but but I did drink just as I normally would on vacation, so I had a
Mhm,
couple of drinks per day, and I
yeah,
really noticed no difference. I
mhm.
I did ask for them a little on the weaker side because I heard you can get a little more inebriated on a
Yeah,
GLP-1, and I didn't want that.
yeah,
So I was able to drink as I wanted to, but I don't have any real want to, if that makes sense.
gotcha.
Like,
No, no, that makes perfect sense. That
yeah,
makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Christopher and I are big cruisers too, so,
Oh, okay.
um yeah, now you're in California, I think you
Yeah.
said?
Yeah,
Do you cruise out of California?
I do.
On the
I
West
we
Coast?
so we do, I do the Mexican Riviera quite often. So we
Uh-huh,
do that out of Long Beach or San Pedro. We've also done, like, out of Fort Lauderdale, out of Miami.
okay.
So, I'm going to take a couple of years off of cruising now just because I'm in school and everything.
Yeah.
So that's kinda tough. I'm really missing it. But to be honest, I love Mexico. I love just making the 5-hour drive down south and getting on a
Oh,
ship. So that's, I love it. I love cruising. Where
yeah.
where do you typically go?
Well, we're in North Carolina, so we go out of Florida.
Okay.
Actually, we have coming up, if you're interested and want to come to Miami in June, we're having the Downsized Cruise.
Ooh,
So we're inviting people to come with us June 4th through 8th on the Royal Caribbean Freedom of the Seas out of Miami.
wow.
It goes to, Coco Cay and Nassau. So this will be our 2nd downsized cruise. We had one this past June, and it was so much fun. We had about 50, people come with us, viewers who, we'd never met before. They just came, and, so now this year, we're hoping to have probably somewhere between 50 and 100, people, and we'll just, do things together, go on some excursions, have some meetings, and stuff like that. So if you're
How
interested, you
fun.
can check it out.
Oh my gosh. No, that sounds so fun. Unfortunately, when you said June, I got hopeful because I have a
Oh.
break from school June 22nd through July
Oh,
1st, I think. But it's my
so
only
you're
break.
still in school then?
I'm
Okay.
still in school. Unfortunately, we don't get, like, summers off other than that little break, but when you said
Yeah.
June, I got really hopeful because so fun, and I'm definitely craving a cruise. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, we definitely love cruising, and, 'cause I was when you were talking about drinking on a cruise, so, now we used to get the drink package all the time, and now we're like,
mhm,
we don't need that we don't even wanna do that, it's doesn't it's like,
yeah. Well, and the
so
funny thing is, so when I did the cruise 8 weeks into my GLP-1, this was my
mhm.
first time getting the drink package, and I was like,
Ah,
"You know what? Maybe I," because I do a lot of coffee, that kinda stuff, so I'm like, "Okay,
yeah,
it includes my bottled water, my coffee, if I drink
right.
alcohol." Man, was it not worth it, because I think the entire cruise I had maybe 5, 6 drinks, like, the entire time.
Yeah,
So definitely learned it was not worth it, but that was another thing too, only being 8 weeks in, I was so
yeah,
nervous. I'm like, "Am I going to, not enjoy my time at all and not be able to eat
yeah,
whatsoever?" And it was such a great week, like, it truly was. I had what I wanted, just,
yeah.
and I still came back 2 lighter,
Oh,
and
wow, that's
I had
awesome,
the freedom of, having whatever I wanted and not worrying. It
and
was
not
so
worrying
great.
about it.
It was so
Have you
great.
ever skipped a shot for a vacation or anything like that? No.
Haven't.
Yeah.
And so when I did go on that vacation 8 weeks in, I did consider it at first.
Yeah.
Mainly because I was so new on it. I didn't know, if will I get sick to my stomach if I'm on
Yeah.
a GLP-1 and the ship's rocking? Like, will I?
Yeah.
But then I kind of like thought about it and talked to some people in the GLP-1 community on TikTok. And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? No, we go on these, right, to completely change our life, not to take a
Right.
week off and be able to go back to our old habits. So I
Right.
stayed on
Exactly.
and I've never skipped a dose. And now I'm like very anti skipping doses.
Yeah. No, I mean, same. I mean, when we first started, we went on a cruise. I think we're about 2 months in, and I did skip my shot. Christopher didn't. My husband didn't, but I said, I'm skipping it.
Yeah.
And I regretted it. I really regretted it because once I came back, it just took so much longer to get going again. So after that, I'm like, you know what? I'm not skipping it. I'm not
Yeah.
uh, gonna do that anymore. And my husband's motto is, just take a shot
Yeah, yeah,
every week. So, yeah, we're big proponents of, just keep going, unless you have like a medical reason or you need a
of
surgery or
course,
something like
of
that. Of
course.
course,
No, that
talk
that
to yourself.
yeah,
Yeah,
that, is more important than everything.
yeah,
But it was really interesting too, having just gone through the holiday season, right?
yeah.
Because this was my first time doing that on a GLP-1,
Oh,
and
right. How was that?
it was great. It was so
Yeah.
good. I was able to like, I'm a huge stuffing girl, like, love stuffing, and I still had all the stuffing that I wanted, and it was, I didn't have to not have stuffing, but I also didn't have too much stuffing. So
Right,
so it was
right.
great, and, once again, not having to have the worry of overdoing it, um, but I also, over time, being on my GLP, because, when you first start, you do
Mhm.
really kinda struggle to eat, like, it's tough,
No,
but
it is. Yeah,
now I can, like, I
yeah,
don't, and I'm on a 7.5 dose. It's not like I'm on a micro dose, but now over
right.
time, I'm able to eat a pretty normal sized meal. You know what I mean? I get really
Yeah,
full, but
yeah.
I'm able to eat more normally. So, I mean, Thanksgiving really wasn't much different for me. It really wasn't, other than maybe, one helping of stuffing instead of 7.
Well, that makes a big difference, right? We
It
can
does
still
make a
have our favorite things, we just don't eat as much. I would say
exactly.
the GLP-1s just kinda gives us a guardrails, right? So we can
Yep.
we can try to veer off, but they're probably gonna, like, drive us back
Yeah.
to the middle
They're
of the
there to
road.
remind us, hey, no, 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 we're not doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so, but it's just been great, it's been a great holiday season, and it's been such a nice tool to add to my tool belt because, I needed some help. I really needed some help, not just with the autoimmune stuff, but obviously with the habits that I was too weak to break.
Yeah.
And I think my only regret with GLP-1s is just not doing it sooner. Really, I mean, it's just not doing it sooner,
Yeah.
because other than that, like, what could I possibly regret? I mean, they've just been so great for me and for everybody, and,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can attest to that too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And for me, this is something that I plan to, stay on long term. Do you see that as your situation also?
100%. And
Yeah,
for me, that decision doesn't even come from, like, the weight. Now that's amazing, like, but
yeah.
for me, it's feeling so
You're
normal without all the
yeah,
autoimmune.
all the other things. Yeah. I mean, I that must be such a relief to
It's
not
such
have those things weighing on you.
It's
Yeah.
such a relief, and so for that reason alone, like, I think about it sometimes when you hear like, "Oh, are compounds gonna be made so that you can't get them anymore?" Or, I worry about things. I'm like, "Would I be able to obtain a prescription? I don't know." But
Yeah.
man, as long as they're around, I will be on them,
Yeah.
because yeah.
And same. So I've been on a little bit longer than you. So I've rode many a wave of compounds being terrified and then not terrified and then being terrified. Right now, I think they'll be around, and especially as we see new medications and oral, you know, medications, GLP-1s coming from the big pharma. I think there's just gonna be more and more competition. It's gonna drive prices down. So, hopefully everyone who doesn't have insurance coverage, can still have access long term. So that's very encouraging.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I know meds are always changing, and like now retatrutide is becoming the big thing, and I find it fascinating. I've done some research of my own, and it sounds like
Yeah.
people are loving it. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe at some point, if tirzepatide's not available, retatrutide will be. But I guess we'll just see how it all plays out. But
Yeah, the one that I think is the most interesting is, the oral, Eli Lilly's oral orforglipron that isn't out yet, but is waiting approval by the FDA, so it'll come out probably sometime in 2026. So,
Mhm.
that hopefully will be priced $149, $199, and I'm
Yeah.
really interested to see if it'll be something people use for maintenance. So,
Yeah,
um,
no,
you know
absolutely. I would be interested to see with that one as well. If there will be more side effects because it's going through the GI tract. You know what I mean? And I am curious about that with oral,
Yeah,
and I will be interested to see what people end up saying about it if and when it does become available. But it's definitely a good solve for those that aren't, getting it through insurance, or,
yeah,
maybe compound goes away. That's a really great option for
yeah.
everybody.
Did you ever have a problem giving yourself a shot?
No, so
Yeah.
I think, okay, there's 2 things. So I've
Yeah.
never really had any kind of issue with needles, but, After I suffered the bilateral pulmonary embolisms, I lived on
Mhm.
Lovenox shots for a year. In
Oh,
and these were like longer needles than our subcutaneous like compound
gotcha.
needle. So I had to do that for a year anyway. Um,
Okay.
and I will never forget, given that it was a blood thinner, I had my stomach was like black and blue all the time.
Mm,
So I feel like when it came to giving shots, like I had kind of
mhm.
already been through the worst of it. So
Yeah,
I didn't really fear it. And then once you do it once and you're like, oh, there's like nothing to that.
yeah,
Yeah. So no, it's I feel like it's valid when I talk to people that do have that fear, but I'm
yeah.
sure I was desensitized through having to do those Lovenox injections for a year.
Sounds like, yeah, for sure. That
Yeah.
sounds terrible. I'm sorry you had to do that.
It wasn't fun, but, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it was necessity, and because, the only cure really for the blood clots, unless you have something that's, like, such a large saddle clot that they have to surgically remove, is
Mhm.
like blood thinners, and so, I had no choice, it had to dissolve them, and it took time, and,
Yeah.
so it was what it was.
It is what it is, right.
Yeah.
Did you change out your closet? Like, did your clothing sizes change
I did.
dramatically?
Yeah, yeah. So I actually have a video pinned on my profile about this of finally like dragging my trash bags into my trunk and taking them down to Goodwill. But yeah,
Yeah.
I had to completely redo my closet. So when I started out, I was like a size 12, like between a 10 and
Mhm.
a 12, and now I'm a 2.
Wow.
And so, but it's been really cool because and I'm very transparent with like my followers on TikTok and everything. Like I'm not made of money. I am a nursing student. I've been a single mom my daughter's entire life.
Mhm.
So there was kind of this aspect of like, okay, I'm getting rid of all my clothes and I genuinely can't afford to just go buy an entire new wardrobe. Well,
Right.
my young adult daughter had also been on her own fitness journey, and all the clothes that were now becoming too big on her, I basically went to her closet and shopped. She had been on her own fitness journey and lost quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so any of her clothes that were like size 4, size 2, all of those, I then fit into. So I didn't have to do any shopping. It was so
Perfect.
great. It was so great, and she's so tiny now. She's in a 0 because she's like 5 feet tall and like literally this big.
Okay.
But like all her clothes that fit her before,
Uh-huh.
perfect for me. So I didn't have to buy anything.
That's great. It all
It was
worked out.
great. It was great. So,
Are
yeah,
there are there any, tips, Nicole, anything you would say to someone just starting or just thinking about starting a GLP-1? What advice would you give them?
I think there are a few things here. So, what I wish somebody had told me was, and I know this sounds cliche, like the comparison is the thief of joy, but it really is in this situation. If
Yeah.
you are watching other people online and seeing that they're losing really quickly and then you're not, you feel like you're doing something wrong. You feel like you're failing. So my big thing I tell people is like, do not compare your journey to others. We're all so different. We all have underlying conditions, different activity levels. We're all different sizes and ages. Um, so really just like hone in on yourself and pay attention to your body and not what everybody else is doing essentially. That's a
Yeah.
big one, I feel like, because there are so many points in the journey where things might slow down and you see other people moving forward and it becomes disheartening if you're paying too much attention.
That's a great point. The average weight loss on these medications is between zero point 0.5 and 2 pounds a week. So it's not rapid weight loss, and that's average. So if you're losing a little bit slower than that, that could just, be the way that your body is going to release those pounds. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, and it's so easy because there's so many people out there now, and you think, oh, maybe I should be losing faster, or maybe I'm losing too fast, and we really just have to focus on what's best for us.
It's
So,
so
yeah.
true. We're all so different and everything is so unique. We're all so unique. And then every journey is unique on top of that. So, having any kind of preconceived goal that you think you should be hitting based on somebody else, it's just not conducive to like your mental health or anything else. And then aside from that, protein and fiber and water are like the building blocks of all of this, right? You have to have fiber for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You have to have the protein to keep your hair healthy, to keep your muscles,
Yeah.
and just water. I never thought I would tell people like drink your water ever, but water, water, water,
Yeah,
100%.
that's how that you went from all that Coke to water.
I
Just
know. I know.
yeah.
There's been a few times since that I'm just like, man, I could use a Coke right now. And then I'm like, well, I mean, technically it would be fine. Nothing would happen. But then why in any way go back? Like, why in that sense go back to something I was so addicted to? That would be really bad. So
That's a
I'm
great
not doing
point.
it. I am not doing it.
It's a great point. And water is just so much better for you anyway. You've got great skin, great hair. It's obviously all working well for you.
Thank you. I have a
So,
question for you actually,
oh,
because I
sure.
know that you said you've been on maintenance for a while and stuff. How do
Yeah.
you feel about electrolytes? Are you big on
Oh,
electrolytes?
yeah, I really like the Element
Okay.
brand. They're a little pricey, but I only use them in my water when I'm doing a workout. So I do cardio dance workouts a couple times a week. I do some weightlifting group exercise classes a couple times a week. So when I'm doing one of those classes, I'll put electrolytes in my water that I take, and I feel like it helps me recover a little
Okay.
bit faster. Or if I wake up and maybe I feel like headachy or just
Mhm.
not really good, electrolytes will just kind of
Yeah.
I don't know, the ins and outs and the whys, but I just know that they do make me feel a little bit better. Now, I wouldn't suggest, adding them more than once a day because they
Mhm.
do have a lot of, magnesium, sodium, potassium, all that things.
Yeah.
So and some people, if you're taking a supplement already, you have to be careful you're not taking too much, so ask your doctor, but that's my feeling on electrolytes.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I was just curious, and I've heard a lot about the Element ones, so I should try those. I
Yeah.
do a lot of like liquid IV, which to me is like the saltiest one, and I just
Oh, Element's saltier.
is it saltier really? Oh my.
Yes.
Well,
It's so salty.
I
But, I mean,
haven't
you
tried.
kinda, like, get used to it after a time, you know what I mean? Like, at first, I was only, like, half a packet, and now I'm like, "Oh, yeah, just put the whole thing in, it's fine."
Yeah,
But
I tried one from Quince yesterday, and Quince is
uh-huh,
like I just recently found out about Quince. I actually did like a partnership with them, but I just tried their citrus one yesterday. It was
uh-huh.
really good. I'm not like a huge lemonade girl, but it really
Mm.
tasted more like lemonade than electrolytes. But above all, my favorite is still Firecracker Liquid IV. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's kind of like it's salty, obviously, but it's kind of sour, and I love sour everything. Maybe
Yeah.
that's it. I don't know, but
Yeah, no, I think I've had that one. It has like it's like the popsicle on the
yeah,
red, white, and blue po yeah, that is a good one. I've had
well, and
that
the
one.
reason I asked you is because, like, I typically do them every day, or at least I do a half a packet every day. But
Yeah,
then there's some people who are kind of against it because of the sodium levels, and it's just,
yeah.
I think it would be interesting to hear your take. So thanks for giving me that.
Yeah, I mean, you probably want to ask your doctor if you have other underlying conditions, if you have kidney
100%.
disease, or because different. So we can't just broadly say yes, go, go do it because
Yeah.
people have different medical things. So I always kind of qualify it with that. But for me, I find it works well for me.
Yeah, I love them. I remember when I first started the journey, I was drinking a lot of water, but I met with my provider through my telehealth, and I just said, I still feel like maybe I'm dehydrated. And she said, well, how often are you having electrolytes? And I said, no, I don't
Yeah.
do electrolytes. I've never done those. And she's like, well, that's your problem. And I'm like, oh, so
Yeah.
that's when I started. But I can tell you, when I was just doing water, it didn't feel like enough.
Well, and that's a good point because before I started adding electrolytes, I'd take this to the gym, this 40 ounces, and I'd drink one on the way there. I'd drink one, about half of one during the class, and then fill it up again and drink it on the way home. That's kind of a lot. And now when I add the electrolytes, I add it, I drink one, and
Mhm.
then I probably drink some more water like in the afternoon or with
Yeah,
dinner or so
yeah,
it's not like it helps your body hold on to the water, so it
it really
it does
does.
make a difference. So,
It
yeah,
definitely
I agree.
does.
I
Gotta love
agree.
them, right?
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for joining us today. I really enjoyed talking to you. If you'd like to see more of Nicole, go to TikTok and give her a follow. Nick loses LBs because
I
we can't say pounds on TikTok because
exactly.
they've got
Exactly.
rules.
I appreciate you guys having me. I truly do. This was so fun. It was so great to meet you, and I really wish I could go on that cruise with you, if I'm being honest.
Well, you know what? Keep us in mind. We hope to make it a yearly thing. So, you know, uh, and like you said before, community is so important. So if you're out there watching, find a community where you can go and ask questions, or you can, find people that you can relate to. So I think that's so important.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for having
Oh,
me.
Christopher just put up our downside. Join us for the Downsized Live Wednesdays at 7 Eastern time. So If you're on the West Coast, I guess that's 4 o'clock. So yeah, we do a live show most Wednesdays. So we'd love to see you on those. You can ask us questions. We interact with people and just talk about whatever's going on, our journey, whatever. So yeah.
Awesome.
So we also have a website. Check out our website, thedownsized.org. That's where you can find more information about our Downsized cruise. And we also have an Amazon store and some other stuff on there. If you'd like to be on the Downsized Dish, you can go to our website and click on the interview tab. Is that what it is, Christopher? My mind suddenly, the Downsized Dish tab, my mind has suddenly gone blank. But yeah, fill that out and we will send you some information on how you can do that. So please like and subscribe to the Downsized. And that's it. Thanks everybody out there for watching. Thank you, Nicole, for joining us today.
Much. Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time on the Downsized. Bye-bye.